Hey, what's going on, people? Glad everyone was able to make it. I know I was just slowly traveling in here, so thought we'd go ahead and get started. How is everyone doing tonight? Just been on call. It has been crazy. That's why videos haven't been coming up, haven't had time to edit anything, haven't been home to even do much of anything. So it's been kind of crazy. Rock and roll time. What's up, Randy? How's it going, buddy? It's just been nuts, guys. I was on call a week ago. I was on for about 8 days, usually for 7. And then I was off for 6 because I had the holiday weekend. And then one of the other guys is in there for his 6 days. And then boom, I'm back on again. And I've been on pretty much all this week. So it's been a little crazy. I got a call this morning at like 5 o'clock. I was out last night until late. And basically, it's you name it. Everything's pretty much about shot and wore out, and some of the equipment's just absolutely amazing. You're trying to polish turds and make them into fancy heavy working machines out there. So basically, tonight's subject matter, I guess we can talk about HVAC and we talk about the world as we know it. Pretty much sounds like everything's falling apart. We just came out of our virus that was going to kill billions and millions of people, and that kind of didn't work out real well. And then now we have riots and all kinds of other craziness going on. And so we've forgotten about the virus. Now we're on to that, and I'm just kind of curious what's going to be the next thing that is going to catch the people's eye. So it's kind of crazy. Definitely a weird world we're living in right now. Things are definitely a little crazy, and so what's everyone else's take out there? Everyone been safe? Any crazy riots? Anything wild going on in your part of the woods out there, guys? Kind of fill me in here on what's going on in your parts of the world. Throw it in the chat there. And as always, any questions you guys got, please put them in all capital letters. That makes it easier for me to see. I'm kind of rolling solo here, and so it's a little more difficult trying to do it all by yourself. So, hey, Chris, what's going on, bud? So, but like I said, I just finished up a call just a moment ago. I was at a sheriff's office, and it was a residential split system with a commercial air handler. And they had a power stealing thermostat, and the thing was powered by a transformer in the outside unit. And as soon as I got there and I seen it was one of the Honeywell power stealing stats, I told the guy that sold it, I said, dude, them things are garbage. I can't believe you even put it on there. I said, you can run any of them with a common wire, no big deal. But I said, we got to yank that thing out of there. He was getting these weird voltages. It was 18, 19, 16 volts. Then it would jump up to 26, and pretty much it was all over the place. And I'm like, yeah, you're just not making good connection. I mean, so yanked that out of there, got that headed home, and I could get a call at any given moment. It's hard to even say whether or not it'll interrupt us or not, but it's not like we have to be there in 5 minutes or less. We ain't Domino's today. So basically we'll see what we can squeeze in here in the time frame that we've got. Basically, as always, like I said, throw in the comments and stuff and any caps and things like that. If you guys have anything on any of my videos that I've done, pretty much give me some guidance here where you guys want to go. But I mean, my area, we had we had 2 protests today. I don't know how the second one went. The first one was peaceful and normal. The second one, there was heard of it being crazy and stupid with a lot of interesting context. I can't imagine people wanting to actually tell everyone that they're going to try burning things down. It just doesn't sound real intelligent. Of course, most of the people burning things down aren't on that scale anyhow. And I understand a lot of it comes down to a few people pretty much trying to get other people riled up and getting everyone to lose their head. And Tony, you're on a service call on a Train XB 13 2-ton with no 24 volts on the contactor. Thermostat on. So Hopefully it's quiet night. Thanks, Randy. That would be great if it is quiet. I mean, this morning was a rack system. I'd never been to this store before. It was really nice. We installed it in 2001. Most of the grocery stores that I'm working on are racks that were installed by a company other than ours, and the stuff's 30 plus years old, and some of it's Comtrol being ran by the Johnson Control. Some of it doesn't have any computer stuff at all. Some of the stores are an hour away or better, and it's nuts, getting into this bigger stuff, which is what I've been wanting to do, and I finally got the opportunity to. It's been quite interesting. I've been enjoying it. I've learned a lot of stuff. The weekend before, I had 2 fans out of 3 on a unit go out. One was short of winding. One was winding to ground. I don't remember if I said anything to you guys about it or not. But that was the first week when things on Memorial Day weekend, it was just absolutely crazy. And that was, the water hose and sprinkler worked out awesome. I was really surprised it worked as well as it did. So learned some adaptive skills there on how to make things work and shut down some of the racks so you're not overtaxing it any more than you had to. This morning's call basically was one of the kiosks in this particular food vendor's showcase and stuff was getting above temperature, but it was not very far. It was like 41 degrees, but they've got the tolerances set really close. And what happened was one of the compressors had gone off on low oil. But what was really odd is the oil level was right in the middle of the glass. The oil reservoir at the top, and I'm forgetting my terminology, basically was right at the very bottom. So everything checked out fine. Then I checked my pressure differential on the oil pump, and I had about 43 to 48 pounds, which is enough to make it run no problem. And so it was kind of wild. You're sitting there trying to figure out why it didn't want to run. So that was my exciting morning. And then had an ice machine that I made a video on, which I will need to do a video on. So I've got I got quite a few other little dinky ones there that I've done that are just sitting there that I need to chop up and make them into something. But yeah, it's kind of one of those crazy ordeals. Just takes time to do it. It never fails. You got to do a lot of editing to make it snappy and fun and engaging and all that. So Corey, it looks like you're working on the decade box. That's awesome. If you have any questions on it, man, just email me, hvacsurvival@gmail.com, HVACR survival, all one word, no letters, anything, or no abbreviations or anything like that. I can get you any of the resistances if you need any of that stuff. I can show you some pictures of mine. Nothing super special. Might be able to even find the rotary switch that I used. But if you got your own ideas and you don't need that, it's fine too. Just willing to help where I can help out at. The stat that I put on tonight actually was the 5,000. That's the basic cheap one. That stat I know is reliable. That T6 thing, I've been using them and they've been okay. But I mean, they definitely are cheap. They've got, some basic cool features and things like that. So I can't complain. This unit that I was working on earlier, it literally was a commercial air handler carrier with a slab coil in it, and they just wired the fan to run continuously, and basically didn't even have to have a G call. It was just running nonstop, and they were just cycling the contactor on outside. Chiller call, yeah, we do quite a few different chillers and stuff. I haven't had anything like that. Which it's coming. It's just a matter of time. We do some stuff for some big vendors that do mashed potatoes and all kinds of different things, sour creams, all the 9 yards there. So it's a matter of time until I get hooked on one of those, which I'm just going to go in there with my go lucky attitude and just tear it apart one piece by piece and trial elimination and go at it. Because I mean, you're only going to learn one way, and that is to go in there and think logically about what's going on and start eliminating stuff. So I mean, it's just one of them things where that's just the way I roll with it. Sometimes you got to call for a little bit of help, which, like I've said in the beginning, I don't know everything, and that was one of the reasons why I came to where I'm at now. I'm kind of in my space of life where I'm ready to go into some bigger stuff. So, like I said, we're doing the racks, getting into some more of the chiller stuff, and a little bit of everything. So, kind of looking forward to it. It's stressful. I mean, that's one of the things that kind of sucks sometimes. As much as I don't like being stressed out, a lot of times that is the way I learned the best. So, let's see here. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yep. So anyhow, Parker chillers. I didn't know Parker made one. Are these the same Parker that does like the valves and stuff? Most of our stuff is either going to be Train, Carrier. We've got Frick, and those are some of the main ones. I mean, we usually sell the Carrier stuff. Some of the other ones like Frick and Train and stuff are going to be ones that are like spec'd for a job. So we basically buy and put in whatever it is they ask for, whatever they quoted. So it's going to be a learning curve, to say the least. Luckily, I've got a guy that has got 39 plus years of experience. He's my guy that helps me with the rack stuff, and he's been a lot of help. And it's just like anything. When I've had to take calls over the phone, I need to see what's going on, and that sometimes makes it very difficult for me to help someone out when I'm not hearing, smelling, and seeing and feeling what's going on. If you've noticed on a lot of my calls when I'm doing them, I'm feeling the lines and feeling where they're hot, where they should be cold. Is there vibrations? Is the compressor hot? And basically, just using all your senses. My trade thing is going to trade sane of some sort. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to patent it of some sort, but basically we're detectives, and we're going to build a case, and we're going to present it to the judge, which is our homeowner or our business owner, and plead our case, and then they basically tell us whether or not we go forward with the trial, so which is the repair. So it's compensation there, wanting to go start using evergreen motors. Anything I should know beforehand? We sell I've sold Linux and Carrier, so both of them either use a true ECM motor, and a couple of them have the evergreen, so to speak. I don't think they call it that. It's more of an X13 motor where they just got multi-taps. I mean, you're kind of getting the benefits of the DC motor, but it's kind of tapped. I guess if anything, I mean, yeah, you save some money on the electric bill, but the initial cost in there, is it worth it? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because the ductwork ain't right? Are you doing it just to save money? Is there a reason for it? Is it cheaper and better for you just to go with a new furnace or air handler or what have you? So, I mean, there's a lot of things there that can play into it that might, yeah. Let's see here. Boonk. There's the wife. Right click on my see if I can do this. I'd have to do that in another spot, and I can't do that on the fly while I'm doing this. I would have to probably go into YouTube Studio. I thought you already made one, so if you need to do something, you should already have that ability, as far as I know, Laura. So, see here, where's that one at? Ever worked on a Linux RTU humiditrol, where the heartbeat LEDs are fast flashing and the main 888 control is unresponsive? Is that a new item? Because the place I'm at now, I haven't worked on much new Linux stuff for pretty much almost 6 years now. So I've noticed what I have seen hasn't changed a whole lot. I was pretty much humiditrol. Gosh, it sounds familiar, but not familiar. Especially on a RTU unit, that does not sound very familiar. So did get a couple cool new things for my birthday from the wife. Got the let's see if we can make this disappear. Got the HVAC tactical rubber ring, which has the red on the back side of the band. This is actually made by one of the big ring companies, so I had kind of a cheapy one before, so I got that. And she got me the hat, which we got the Velcro patch. So we bought the hat separately, and you can put any patch you want there, and it literally has spots in multiple areas of the hat where you can put different patches and stuff on it. And it's a pretty stiff hat. The only thing they had, from what I've seen, was the trucker hats, and I'm not a trucker. I like something more traditional like this with the normal solid back, you know, with a little bit of the duckbill curvature there. I don't like the trucker hat, and I don't like the flat bill thing. I think they look a little ghetto-ish for me. Cool, great question. Favorite leak detector? For me, I've got 4 of them right now. I've got the H10 Pro, I've got the Detect Select, I got the Detect Stratus, and the TIFF ZX. The TIFF ZX was a cheaper one. I found that one almost brand. It was actually brand new. It's got a Pinto heated diode. Supposedly they can't be fried by a strong hit of refrigerant. They're one of the few that uses the Pinto diode. That's a cheaper one, I guess, so it depends on what you want to spend. The H10, for the most part, I'm comparing it to several different okay, fine. Several different ones. That one's a pretty decent one. All of them have their strengths and weaknesses. The H10 basically is strongest on R22. It does do 410A. It does all of them. The biggest thing I like about it is running in manual mode. So the H10, by far, I've been comparing these detectors to each other. And basically, the Stratus so far seems to be, even though it says it's a little more sensitive, seems to be just as sensitive as the Detect Select. But the thing it shines on, like I love it, is the lithium battery that's in it lasts forever. I mean, and it charges in 3 hours. The Detect Select, the current version, has to charge for almost 8 hours, 9 hours, because it has I think a nickel metal hydride battery, and it's using, you know, a regular generic charger. And so what I like about that lithium, obviously, the battery lasts forever. The sensor can be popped out. You can switch it to the CO2, and then they will be coming out with a combustion sensor for it, which will require a upgrade in the detector to run the combustible refrigerants. And basically that's going to be really great. So they are coming out with the Detect Select, the newest version, which is going to have this. It's going to be the Stratus body without the display. And the display is really neat. I like it, but you know, when you're in parts per million mode, it's a little slow. But if you've got a leak where it's contaminated area and you're having a hard time narrowing it down, that readout really makes it easier. So you know, I'm putting together a lot of footage because I want to give it a fair opportunity to show its colors and whether or not I can recommend it or not. You know, it was provided for to me, so I didn't pay for it. They didn't give me a new one. They gave me a rebuilt one. So, you know, I had to send one back because I thought, man, is this thing real or is there something wrong with it? Because they sent it to me when we were having all the COVID stuff going on, and I don't even know if they're back to normal yet because they're in Syracuse, New York. What's up, North? And basically, I think it's fine as far as nothing major wrong with it. It's just, I was hoping it would be more sensitive than the Select, but you know, about the time I find something that I didn't find with one detector, and I go back and double check it, and then it catches it, but it didn't catch it the first time. And The biggest thing I like about too the handheld detectors is you can get the wand deep down into the device, where the H10, yeah, they have a little rubber nozzle thing on it, but it makes it very difficult to get into those tight spots to sniff every area. But I know the H10 by heart. I know its characteristics. I know when I go to medium and it's still picking it up, I know it's not a false alarm. You know, it's just the H10 all the way around. If they could fix the battery, and I've heard of people switching them to lithium, um, basically that would be the biggest improvement they can make is just to put it into the lithium. Um, but that, to answer your question, it's a mix between the H10 and either the Select or the Stratus, because the Stratus and the Select both are pretty much the same sensitivity. So as far as $850 versus 325 to 400-ish area for the current Select, I would wait and get the basic, the new version of the Select when it comes out sometime later this year, I believe, because it's going to have the new battery, and I believe it'll probably have the same sensor too. So unless you need that display, I don't see it being worth the extra $450. So they did say, at least he told me, the sales guy that I know and talked to that's hooked me up with it so far, that they supposedly are going to sell it for the same price. But as far as actual release dates and stuff like that, basically, I don't know any of those things. AOG. Yeah, I've noticed that with a lot of the guys that are in here and HVAC overtime and stuff. We seem to have a better group of people here. Not all the pricks seem to be in it. The arrogant attitude of "you're an idiot. Why did you ask this question? Gosh, you're so stupid. Greenhorn, you're a moron. Go grab my tools. Grab me a sandwich." I hate that crap. I don't see a reason for it. It doesn't get you anywhere, and then we whine that we don't have anybody to help us out, and we don't have good technicians and stuff. And it's because people don't want to help train the next guy. And that's all I originally set out to do, was try to get some free tools and to make some online friends out there. And that was a lot of my reasoning behind making the videos. And so far it's worked out pretty good. I can't complain. I've gotten a couple free things, but in reality, the amount of time you put into building the channel and the amount of time editing and stuff like that, was it really free? I mean, if your time is valuable, which mine is, it really wasn't free. And it's a chance for them to advertise and things like that. So it's just one of them things. Rich, we're all old. 1 year old, 2 years old. Old's behind every one of them. We're all old. So I've still got at least 20 years to go. So I don't know. I don't think you're old until you hit mid-70s, 80-year-old. See, almost 80 degrees. Until you reach 80 degrees, you're not old. So those are the kind of screw-ups I do when I'm recording the video. You're like right now, I have no script. I'm just talking, and things just come out. And basically, you make mistakes. HVAC Residential Basics, when you're having issues with it disconnecting, are you using a Bluetooth headset at the same time? Because if you are, that will cause problems. That's what Bergman told me, and I've noticed that with it. So it will do it off and on, but I think it's just the phone has an issue with it. Some phones are going to be possibly better than others. But yeah, that's what I've noticed. So what sucks is when you're on a tech call or something and you're trying to talk to the guy, like I'm having some issues with a Bosch variable speed heat pump that I've installed for my in-laws, and I can't control the humidity. So if there's anybody out there that does much with the Bosch and knows more about it, help me out here a little bit, because I hooked it up on a Duquesne ECM 2-stage furnace with a Carrier top of the line thermostat 2-stage, and the thing I'm running into, and I can already tell what it is. I mean, the outdoor unit is varying its capacity based off the evaporator temperature, but yet you had your CFM set up for the maximum capacity of the heat pump, which is 3 ton. And I was generous with it and set it at 350 CFM, which is something we kind of see more with the Carrier. And it worked awesome. I mean, they saved some major money. They only used about 50% of their LP tank. The Bosch, I mean, my gosh, the cost of that thing is cheap compared to the Carrier, 5 speed, green speed, whatever you want to call it, or the true variable. And I mean, I'm wanting to put one in. I guess they just came out with a new one. It's now, I think, 20 SEER, and I'm really interested in it. I mean, to be able to run them down to 5 degrees. So, anyhow, my thought is I'm going to either lower it lower because the factory, I called them, and my superheat was really low on the TXV. And I mean, we're talking anywhere from 0 to maybe 2 or 3. And the guy I spoke with from Bosch said it should be somewhere between 12 and 14 or 10 and 14. And I've had the same issue with Carrier where they just seem low. And I usually blame it on installation, basically getting the bulb probably too hot and frying the TXV. I know for a fact on this one here, everything was done perfect because I did it and I didn't want any problems whatsoever. So nitrogen was flowing. I had wet rags on everything, heat it up, braise it, cool it down, do the next joint, heat it up, cool it down. I mean, I did not do anything that would have damaged it. So anyhow, I changed this thing yesterday while I'm on call. And in the middle of it, I get a call, a restaurant. And so I finally get it changed after having multiple difficulties because, when you're in a hurry, usually you make mistakes. And got it at least up and running, but I didn't have a chance to finish out and get a true superheat reading. So I've got to go back. And when I go back, I'm going to adjust the thermostat too. I got it set up for a 0.5 degree of accuracy right now. And I'm thinking about taking it to 1 to 1.5 degree accuracy. That way I can get a longer run time in between the cycles. That way the Bosch will go up to speed a little more, run a little longer, get a little more humidity out. I have a funny feeling that might have something to do with it. So if you guys have any experience with that, I know Zach was advertising for them. So if you've installed some of those and you've got some experience with that, let me know. Because so far I'm not impressed at all with Bosch's technical service. They want you on site. They don't have any real deep, detailed books on anything. They don't go into their theological thought process of how they came up with how these things are working. I mean, yes, it's very basic. There isn't a whole lot to it. I even matched this up with a Bosch evaporator. And yes, the bulb on the factory Defrost TXV was mounted on the 10 o'clock position on the suction line. It was insulated. It was tight. There was no gaps between the bulb. It wasn't crushed. I mean, I checked everything out. It's a balanced port valve, and basically, I have a feeling there was nothing wrong with the valve, and I have a funny feeling this new valve is going to be the same way. And so when I go back, I'm planning on possibly running the stat in 2-stage, and then that way I can lower my fan speed even lower, and basically try to do it, the logical way, which is, slower is better. Man, I'm not saying I hate the Bosch. I mean, it is what it is. He probably more upset with me bashing the Mitsubishi because I've had plenty of problems with them and their tech services as far as their guys online. I've had horrible responses with them, shit responses. So screw the advertisement here as far as the language a little bit. Mitsubishi kind of ticks me off. So they are a good unit. They're probably the best ones out there for a mini split, but I am not impressed with their technical service help. They sent me, I had one, compressor was bad. So change the compressor. That's what I was told to do because, when you're under warranty, I don't like changing anything when it comes to them guys because the parts are super expensive. I want them to decide that that's what's wrong with it. And basically replace the compressor. And I've got video on this, but it looks horrible because I changed the compressor and it don't run. Change the boards, and it don't run. You call them, you tell them everything, you don't get no good response. Finally, you get hung up on because you're getting pissed. And then you have to go through your local guy, and finally he comes out and gets it approved, and they just swap the whole unit out, which never did find out exactly what caused it. But we're kind of going on a tangent there, but that's what happens when you don't have anything in particular picked out. Kyle, I'm assuming that you, since you're getting quotes on things, that you might be a homeowner, possibly. Getting quotes to replace my old AC on my home. So far, looking at 14 grand for a XR14 gas package, 3-ton roof unit, all new ducking. Well, the ducking is going to add a lot of money. I'm assuming with it being packaged, you're probably maybe in like down south or somewhere where it's really hot. Around here, the only package units you got on houses is house trailers. That's about the only ones that's got that. Yeah, the blue on gas stuff. I haven't used it. We use 422D. That I'm not 100% real impressed with. For the most part, I'd rather dump the oil and throw it into 407C. But, you know, I've done a little bit of everything. Retired in March at 60. Yeah, I mean, I started at 19, so yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, well, congratulations on your retirement. Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know if that's true or not, but is Tesla actually going to supposedly make air conditioners? I mean, it sounds like they kind of gotten into a little bit of everything. And then, you know, one thing I've noticed with those probes too, they do seem to work better with the Apple products. And I think Bergman's even said that himself, that he has less issues with it because, you know, it's not an open source program like the Google platform is. So the Droid. And, but yeah, I don't like losing the music. Or biggest thing for me, like I said, I was on the phone with the technical services. They couldn't hear me when they were on speakerphone, and then I was sitting there looking at my probes, and I'm like, "Look, guy, I mean, I can go out and grab my gauges." He's like, "Well, do you trust them? Because your superheat's coming in super low." And he goes, "Do you trust them?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of a geek. I check the calibration of them, and all that." So I checked him with that after I got off the phone with him, and they were accurate. So anyhow, nobody's really got much information on the Bosch. It don't look like, unfortunately. Okay, so much for that. But yeah, but like I said, that's what's going on in my world right now. I had an ice machine today. Basically, worked on that earlier this afternoon. Any advice for an install apprentice? Hopefully, you know, they're willing to train you and actually teach you. You know, when I started out, I was install, basically a helper. And, you know, they didn't really explain a lot of things as far as what they were doing, why they were doing it. And it really depends on who you're working with. I mean, some guys were cool and would go into more details than others would do. You know, you got some that are just arrogant pricks and jerks and everything else and just want to treat you like a piece of crap. And, you know, those are the ones you're just better off to do what they ask and hope that you might get must be doing something. I don't know if she was doing something wild or what. I locked up for a moment there. So, HVAC North, buddy. Boom. Right there it is again. So, but yeah, the biggest thing if you're an apprentice is ask all the questions, be willing to work, jump in there, and, you know, because everyone, especially if you're new, unfortunately, things go around the shop and everyone asks, "How's the new guy?" The FNG, the freaking new guy, which you know what it really stands for. And basically, they're wanting to know, is this guy lazy? You know, does he want to work? Because that, unfortunately, is the generation that we're dealing with. And it's even with the people my age. There's a lot of lazy people. And they don't want to work. They don't show up to work. They call in. They come in late. All that crap. And you know, So be on time, be early. To be on time is to be late. To be early is to be on time. Um, Ask how you can help. Try to think out ahead of time what he's going to be needing. Um, Always put everything in a question instead of because it's better to say, "Hey, do you want me to go grab this?" That tells him that you're listening and thinking ahead of time. Um, I deal with this sometimes when I'm getting on this big stuff. So about the time I start offering suggestions, that's usually something that irritates my guy a little bit. So everything is put into a question, even for myself. Even doing it as long as I've done it, we all have different levels, and no one's great at everything. And I thought that was always garbage, but coming here and I taken on, I did a little everything, but not a bunch of everything. And coming here was a rude awakening that, it really is hard to learn everything. But if you want to learn it and you want it bad enough, you can learn it. But that would be the main thing. I mean, do you want to stay in install? Do you want to get into service later? Did you go to school for service? For me, I went through school for the service stuff, but no one would put you right into it generally. They, generally most companies make their money off install. Service makes money, but nowhere near the money that install makes. But unfortunately, a lot of times the installers don't get treated as well as service, and they're the ones that usually um, usually they're the ones that get the hardest work, and they wear out earlier and everything else. Joe, I gave you that link there, buddy, if you want to click on it. And I don't know if Adam and stuff, you guys are out there. I'm all for it, whatever. Just scroll up, the link's right there. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And you can always email me too. Isho, I'm assuming how you say it. I am horrible with names, so a lot of times I don't even bother to even read off the names. I butcher them pretty good. Yeah, you're forgotten. Yeah, and they'll move on to the next person and stuff. So, I like Measure Quick. I mean, that's the program. I don't really care for the field piece program too much, but like Friday, I had a geothermal. It was brand new on a house. It was residential under new construction. So new construction doesn't have any blinds. It doesn't have any furniture. And when you're heating or cooling a house that's empty, it's not very easy. And they had it on on comfort, which means everything's blowing slow. So, I had problems when I was in this house. I was out in the middle of nowhere, and it did not want to connect to the internet because I was down in the basement. And basically, it sat there and waited and waited and waited forever. And so that's the only thing bad. I think, I don't know if it was a fluke thing or what, but it didn't want it to load immediately. But as far as testo, I got two testo probes right now. One's a temperature because their temperature probe is dedicated temperature, and I think it can go up to 300 degrees. So when I want to do a split across a coil, that's the only reason why I bought it. So if I'm doing like a gas furnace or a makeup air unit where the temperature can come out over 140, your field piece probes aren't good for over 140 degrees, and they don't really like going below, 5, 10, somewhere in that ballpark, because I mean they got that humidity sensor in there to do the wet bulb and stuff, and they're not made for that, and they have issues. So you really need a dedicated temperature probe, and I don't know why field piece hasn't came out with it. But I use the testo. The testo probes, this was the original one. And I don't think they've improved that one. It's got like crap for range, but I'm sure they'll come out something better for that. So Measure Quick, definitely. I like the field piece probes. I've got the bigger set with an extra one or two probes or whatever, and so that answers that. Yeah, Rich, you get to the point where you can anticipate their next move. Back to the Apprentice question that we had. Yeah, people like that. I mean, what would you rather have? The guy that, you don't have to tell him everything, that where's my guy at? And here he comes walking in with the thermostat, or he comes walking in with the stat wire or whatever. And basically, you're working as a team. So I mean, once you prove yourself, things get better, and they're going to suck in the beginning, and that's just the way it is. You got to earn your stripes, unfortunately, and it's like that pretty much with anywhere. And you know, just hang in there if you're a rookie or what have you. Yep. Wow. Okay, that was interesting. But yeah, what do we got going on there, Kyle? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You did some of that oil rig stuff. That was kind of crazy. So, yeah, on average for us, I mean, I'll work maybe 10 hours, 10 billable, maybe work 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, on call last 2 weeks ago, I started at 8:30 on Sunday, went to a grocery store, was there for 3.5, 4 hours, left that grocery store, went to another one, was there for 6 hours, and then came from there, went way the opposite direction, worked on a walk-in beer keg cooler that had a known leaking leak, and luckily I was in and out of that one fairly quickly. And then on my way back, my favorite ice cream place, he needed some help, and I stopped by and diagnosed the bad compressor and got some free ice cream and the good stuff, the hard dip. And that was the day I got home at 11:30 at night. So that day sucked, but it was, the biggest thing was the stress of getting around the three phase 460 volt 1.5 horse, or one. It was at least 1 horse. I think it was a 1 horse condenser fan motor, and it was a bear. I mean, you couldn't pick that motor up anywhere else. Nobody local had it. And I bought one of those little generic sprinklers that kind of does a circle shape and just shot it straight up there. Jojo, where you at, dog? You said you were gonna come on. You said you come on. I don't see you. So yeah, door panels. Hopefully they ain't too crazy. Don't you go crazy working on residential, then jump up into commercial. Uh, yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, my biggest thing on the residential, I mean, I like the call when I'm on call now. When they call, I know it's important. I know we're talking big money on the line, so I know I've got to go, and there's more meaning to it. Versus, I'm hot and my air conditioner don't work. Come fix it. It's been doing it for like 3 days, and it finally just stopped. That I like it better when, if I got to get up in the middle of the night or go do something, I'd rather, hey, they got thousands of dollars on the line. I want to go fix it. So, I mean, that definitely is it. But I do like helping out, some of my appreciative customers and stuff in the residential world. I had one that I made a video on, and they said I could show that one. It's one of those carrier 3-piece units where the compressor is inside the house. The condenser is just the condenser coil and a fan, and then the air handler is the traditional evaporator. And we had a leak, and it was an R22 system, a 1991. And basically, I found the leak. I got to edit it down, and I'm not even bothering because, I mean, right now, I'm surprised. Generally, I get a supermarket call right before bedtime and something like that. So I'm really surprised I haven't gotten hit yet. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I like the commercial stuff. I've always liked air conditioning, so refrigeration just kind of goes with it. And so I just like refrigeration in general. There's always been something weird about it that I just like. I don't know, just really neat. Hoser, what's going on, buddy? So, um, guys, if you haven't checked out and you're looking for some different channels to check out Hoser. Search him out. He's got a lot of good videos and stuff. Hopefully, I'm not confusing you with the other one, but let me make sure here. That would be suck if I'm confusing you with the other one. Let's see here. Let's go to YouTube and search. It's not Hoser though. I'm trying to remember what yeah, Hoser HVAC. Yep, there we go. But I don't think that's another one. Yep. it was my other guy. He's from Pennsylvania. It's got a similar name to yours though. But yeah, check out Hoser too. Um, uh, you know, I'm all about trying to help everybody build up their channel. I mean, the more we got out here, I mean, there shouldn't be much of a god complex in this YouTube streaming thing. Um, it's he's got to be a decent guy if he's got Scooby Doo with the kids, man. How can you not like a tech that watches Scooby Doo? Scooby Doo's the bomb. So there's a link to Hoser's channel. Save that for later. Don't leave yet. So, but hopefully that helps him out a little bit. Let's see here. I don't know what happened to old Joe. The only thing that sucks is I just screwed myself when I did that. So let me go to my settings. I guess. I don't know where I had that in here. Let me see if I'll have to scroll back up and find my link again. Yeah, I just really don't have it all in here, do I? Good grief. Yeah, it's always something. And for some reason, I don't remember. Yeah, here we go. There it was. So I can't highlight it. Can I copy it? Not really. Here, what can I do something here? I can block myself. That'd probably not be good. But user in timeout? No, I don't really want that. Yeah, I can't copy it. So that sucks. What's the edit button do? Nope, that don't do nothing either. It is what it is. So anyhow, throw some questions out here, guys. Help me out here. I mean, that's pretty much how my week's been going. Like I said, I got to go back and figure out the Bosch, and got a lot of videos to edit and stuff. I don't know where my Joe went, man. He bailed on me, dirty dog. He's a Canadian though, so he's hiding. Hard to say, but anyhow, where did that go? I'm probably dwindling here. Where is it at? You would think it'd be underneath settings. I know if you're wanting to add somebody, you've got to. Someone asked how you got into Generacs. Oh, cool. Got into generators for the same thing I've been saying for a while here. I was bored with residential. So basically, back in 2005, we had a hellacious ice storm here in Ohio. And it knocked the power out for 5 days, 6 days. And basically, the company I would be going to was selling them. And one of the enticing thing was, hey, do you know anything about them? I'm like, no, but I'd be interested in it. And, got into them there. So the Generac thing, believe it or not, just like half the other things I've gone to school for, never worked on it. And then yet I go to school on it and then learn to work on it later. So, I definitely recommend going and working on it some so you have good questions to ask. That's something I kind of ran into with the chiller stuff. I mean, I haven't hardly worked on any of them, so it'll be a lot of fun. And there's my dog, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here. It's the one, the only, the Curious Man. What's up, dog?
Hey, what's going on, Rick? Don't mind my laundry right over here.
Oh, that's all right, man. Those are some cool socks you got there.
Are they? I don't even know what they are.
It looks like they're socks.
They are towels and socks and whatnot. It's been a busy weekend, man.
Yeah, you on call too?
No, luckily. It's been ever since this pandemic, I've been on call just about every single week. Luckily, it's been slow. I haven't had much to do, so can't really complain about it too much. But, even when you are on call, you can't really plan a whole lot. You know how it is.
No, not at all. I mean, it's just, and luckily I don't have a lot going on. So, I mean, it's, I just kind of, I don't know. It's worse with this stuff that I'm doing now versus the residential. Residential, I could usually be in and out, usually less than an hour. And I mean, it was easy in and out. But
Yeah,
the
because
most
now
part.
you're getting into the big boy stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's why, if some of it I know the one place I'm not allowed to film at, so I can't show anything there. That's right on their documentation when you come into the building.
Oh,
The grocery stores I haven't asked yet, so I've kind of, been kind of holding on. I mean, right now I don't want to start pointing out a bunch of stuff because I'm still learning some stuff too. But all the questions I've got is going to be the same scenario for like when I do most of my videos. The most of the things I point out are things that I didn't know or was always curious about or whatever. So that's the reason why a lot of times I point them out.
hmm.
Uh,
So with the kind of glad I jumped on here now because I'm always curious about the grocery store side of things, the big boy stuff, if you will. So
that's why I like to call it. Makes me feel important for once.
you're like a HVAC RoboCop technician now, super tech, if you will. So
Yeah.
with the grocery store stuff though, do you have a background in grocery store? Rack system. I mean, rack systems are one thing,
Um.
but the whole grocery store setup is a little bit different than like when I say rack systems, I'm talking about like say an Applebee's or a Carrabba's or someplace that has a make line and they got like five
No,
or
that
six
ain't a
compressors
rack.
upstairs.
The
No,
rack
no.
system that I'm working on is potentially five or six compressors. You've got dual range. You got your low temp over here on this suction manifold. You got your medium temp over here on this suction manifold. You've got, I'm going to call them EPR valves, but they don't call them that. I'm trying to think of the name, but it's got a solenoid on it. And basically, you can adjust it to whatever saturation temperature you want to maintain so that you
Hmm.
can put coolers on with a freezer. Because most
Yeah, it
of them are
sounds
either
like an
running
EPR
404,
valve.
they might be running 507, because a lot of them are converted over from
20
502.
no 502
Yeah,
R12 to 502 to whatever else they can think of.
yeah. I mean, it's been crazy, and then it's been 20 years since I worked for the company that used to take care of these before we got them. And I went out with the guy, and I mean, this is back when I was making like 15 bucks an hour. And so I got to go out and just ride with the guy. And we went to all the different stores that I'm working at now. So it's been 20 years since I've been there.
Wow.
And, back then they had a thing called Control, which it's still kind of working, but we use Johnson Control or the Emerson, whatever. So I've not really had any manuals or anything. So I'm figuring this out. Like the one store, the Control system, the control is not too bad if you can get a working panel, but the display screwed up. So I got to go through this DOSy program on a laptop from like 500 years ago, and it's
So,
like,
like the one thing you really, really need in a setup like that is a good display, something to tell you what's going on, and you don't even
and you
have
don't have
that.
it,
Dang, man.
don't have it, and I'm reading it off to the guy, and he gets upset because I'm reading it kind of quickly, and that's how I want it. Because like if you're a homeowner and say you're working on an infinity system, if you can just tell me what you're seeing on the screen, I'll be like, yep, no, go to another screen. I may
Hmm.
not know exactly which one to go into, but when you're reading it off to me, I'm giving him the information like I would want it, but that ain't how his mind works, and so that creates some issues there and stuff. So yeah, it's very stressful in a way because if it don't work out with him, there's nobody else. So I've got to make it
Wow.
work. So, it's one of them things where it's very humbling and, I want this and I'm willing to do what I've got to do to learn it because, I
Now,
mean,
now,
you
why
know,
do you want this? I'm curious.
for me, it's not many people know how to do it,
Yeah,
I guess is a lot of it. So
that's
it
what
makes
kind
me
of
feel
piques my
special.
curiosity in it too. It's like
Yeah,
that special niche market.
yeah. Well, just like the ice cream stuff. I mean, that's why I don't share too much on it because no one helped me with it. And it's very specialized and, it's not every day you need it. So if you throw all that information out there, you'll never get a call. So,
I still got an old stack of Frosty manuals from my Wendy's days back when I used to do Wendy's maintenance. My what was that? Santa Serve. I think that was the one we
oh my
always had.
gosh,
The Santa Serves.
it's made right over here in Indiana.
Is it?
Yeah, Sandy Sir is like bottom
Nice.
of the barrel.
Sandy Serve and what was the other one? Shit. There was crap. I mean, there was two main ones that they used all the time. Santa Serve.
Electro Freeze,
No, it wasn't Electro Freeze. They had a few.
Taylor.
They had a few Taylors, but no, there was one other brand that was pretty prominent throughout the Wendy's world.
We do a little bit at Wendy's. I try to avoid it if all possible because it's a grease pit.
I can't remember if Saniserves are the ones where they had the two knobs in front that hold on that faceplate, or if that's the other brand that I'm thinking of.
A lot of them have have the same thing.
Time to Google it.
Let's see here.
Because I'm not going to be able to
Laura,
sleep until I can figure it out.
I'm trying to. She wants me to post the link, and I'm trying to remember where's the link at for if you want to invite a guest. Is it under comments, banners, brands, private chat? Where the heck's that at?
It's a good question.
Having issues? Heck yeah, I am. Oh, here we go. Invite. Here we go. Duh. Here's your sign.
Yeah, I just scrolled up until I found it.
Yeah, I just
let's see.
Well, when you're only doing it once a week, you know, it's like, there you go, Laura.
Yeah, you kind of forget.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I feel as though I can make anybody an HVAC guy, honestly, because I always feel like, you know, if you would have just explained it like my mind works, I think it would be simple.
Saniserve, Taylor. That's stupid. Yeah, and I'm getting sidetracked by frosty machines again.
Yeah, it happens.
But no, going back to the grocery store stuff. So if you had to give advice to somebody coming out of the light to medium commercial industry going into the big boy stuff, what would you tell them to do? Study some books,
why I bought that
watch
book.
YouTube. What book?
I bought that refrigeration book from Dick Weirs. I've not had a chance.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
I literally,
commercial.
yeah, because he has some really cool things at the back there of some different scenarios of things going wrong, and that was kind of pretty cool. I haven't even had a chance to read it. I'm horrible about I have magazines and books that I get and I never read them, and that's what's I'm horrible about it because I just don't have the desire. I mean, I can read, my mind don't absorb that way.
You know, I'm a member of RSES, and like they just sent me a letter saying, "Hey, your subscription's about to end," and I'm like, you know, I got a stack of your magazines, and they're good stuff. I've read a few of them, but I mean, I just haven't read hardly any of them. I don't have time to read them.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you know, it's a good, you know, source for material and education, but I'm almost like, should I really renew it? I haven't read anything on it. I haven't done anything with it. I don't know.
How much is it to be a whatever on that?
It's only like $100 a year. So, I mean, it's well worth it. Don't get me wrong. It's well worth it. Even if you read half the magazines or go on the website once in a while. You know, I got my R290 certification through the RSCS website, and they have all sorts of good, you know, good resources. You can get your continued educational hours for NATE. You can get NATE certified through there, CM certified. So they got a lot of good stuff in there. I'll probably end up renewing it just because I want to be like one of the cool kids, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
What mine's through.
What's going on, guys?
Yes, I actually just found my card. Haven't seen it forever.
Now, which certification was that, Rick?
I have the universal, the RSES. That's the only thing that I got from, you know, the school, but that I've never. That RSCS thing, I mean, there's no chapter stuff around here, as far as I know. I mean, they have
our chapter closed.
Like, what's that?
Our chapter closed. I literally, as soon as I joined up, I found the chapter like 2-3 months later, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the meeting. And I went there. I'm like, yeah, nobody ever shows up to these meetings, so we're closing. This is the last meeting. I'm like, why are you? I just joined up, man.
Oh, that sucks.
Son of a bitch.
Well, you know, honestly, what's kind of interesting about all of us guys on here is we have a passion for what we do. And that's what I like about it. I mean, I was not an HVAC geek like I am right now. I mean, I was always proud of what I did, but I mean, to get as involved into it and try to learn as much as what I'm trying to learn at this given moment, I had no desire prior to coming where I'm at. I just didn't care anymore. And that's what's really cool about everybody we got in here. Because, I mean, everyone's interested in trying to become better. And that's what I love about this group of people. I mean, I think it's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It's a nice, you know, tight knit community. Very few trolls. Just everybody just wants to be good at what they do and kind of make their mark on the HVAC world, you know?
Yeah, the trolling thing, I mean, I shouldn't say this because then it'll probably start, but I think people know that I kind of like confrontation. So it's like, if you really want to go there, especially if I'm right, I mean, if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But I kind of enjoy fighting, so it's like no big deal.
Oh yeah, see,
What's up,
I don't have
JoJo?
the
Hey,
time.
hey. I had to jump off for a second there when we were talking about 20 series. I was just wondering what TXV do those 20 series come with?
I don't know about the 20 series. You're
Sorry,
talking about
plane.
Bosch. The 18 series, what my in-laws is that I installed last fall, and it is a I said it earlier, Danfoss valve, and it's a T6 valve, and I looked it up online, and it's a fixed superheat, which sucks. And
Mm,
it says in the book that it's
Hmm.
supposedly 3.6 degree superheat, but then they had some other weird abbreviations I haven't heard of before, and so it comes out to be maybe around 7-ish area.
Hey, so if they
So
have I'm going to ask you probably a newbie question since I don't really do much in residential. If they have a set TXV or a set superheat, do they really frown on you like making the line set longer than a certain length? They're like, oh, you can't make it this long because we have no really to really adjust the flow through the evaporator coil.
I mean, for the line set, I mean, you've got your maximum and I don't, not very often minimum, but generally you got your maximum just for oil return and stuff like that. But generally, the TXV is just going to try to maintain the same superheat no matter what. So
what
it
is
doesn't
it?
really
3 ton,
care.
Rick?
Huh?
Good
Is it a
point.
3 ton? What was
It's a
it?
maximum of a 3 ton, but it can vary down to, I think, less than like a ton or so.
Hmm.
And I think what's
Why did that guy?
happening is
Yeah, go ahead.
the thing's not running long enough because when we
Mhm.
huh? What?
Go ahead. It must be delayed. Go ahead.
Oh, I heard Bill. I thought I heard Bill say something. We're and I ain't getting no feedback or any echo or nothing, are you? From because I have my monitor on, but I got it turned down really low. So okay, good. Um, I think, like I said, the biggest problem with mine that I was figuring is that the flow is slowing down so low. I'm wondering if there's something going on with like that pressure differential that you need to have first coming in and going out. But I mean, generally you would figure they're going to shoot for somewhere around 10 to 12ish
Yeah, of
area, the
course. Yeah.
old-fashioned number that we all know about.
Yeah.
But I mean, it don't care. It's just it's going to try for that. But I don't know any way that I can even trick it. So. I have a bad feeling that it's still going to read really low, and it's not uncommon. I've just never had that as an issue. I mean, it makes sense if the superheat's super low that it may not dehumidify right, but if you think about a walk-in cooler versus a walk-in freezer, the freezer you go with a lower superheat, but I mean, old what's his name always talked about running the Jim Panetta. He always talked about running a higher superheat or a TD to try to get more dehumidification. I don't know how much truth is in that, but I mean, that's why I've wondered. I don't know if that superheat was the issue that he was really talking about. So
Yeah, I've always heard that too. The higher the TD, the more dehumidification you get out of a system.
yeah,
Yeah.
which made sense because if it ain't
Cool
sweating, when I took
difference.
the cover off, this was sucks. It's a counterflow, so I put it in the closet, and it's counterflow, so it's kind of hard to get everything out from underneath of it.
Hey, dumb question. What is a counterflow?
Okay, basically, your furnace blows down. So, like, this is a ranch style house with a crawl space. So the coil is underneath the furnace and it blows down through it.
Oh, okay.
So
Is that
then
like I've always
horizontals,
heard of
just
that?
like you're figuring.
I've
And then you
always
got
referred to
upflow.
that as like a downdraft. Is that another name for it? Downdraft?
You could. I mean, it's
Oh, okay.
just like return air versus cold air return.
Yeah.
Or
Tomato,
I don't know
tomato.
if it's like this in other houses, but like on the old houses around this area, the returns were put on the outside walls and the supplies were put on the inside.
That's what I was getting at. If somehow you could manipulate the TXV, because I don't have too much experience with these Bosches, but I've been hearing even Steve had a little issue with it. So I was just wondering if you could manipulate TXV somehow or trick it, but I guess not.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it, the only way to get it to clamp down to raise that superheat is going to be to make it colder. So if I wanted to trick it as far as removing it away from it, I can make it go lower, but to go higher,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I mean, myself personally, it kind of pissed me off, even though it's warranty. They charged me the $95 for the TXV up front. Then I had to pay for the shipping. I'm like, this is a bunch of crap.
You just cut it out and put a throw a Sporlin in there.
I would rather put a freaking regular dang valve in there because, man, where it's in there, it's hard to unbraze and everything else. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
pain in the hind end to get it out of there and not burn up stuff.
So are you guys talking about like Bosch inverter-driven systems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new ones. Yeah.
Bovia, BOVA or whatever.
For some reason, I thought those had EXVs on them.
They do on the outdoor, which I find kind of humorous because it's like, why would you put it out there and not on the inside?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of corny because I mean, in the normal heat pump world, usually you have a TXV on the inside and you have a piston on the outside or TXV on the outside also. Like Linux would do 2 TXVs, and basically you're quieter than Joe. Okay, boom, 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 boom. That should be a little louder then. How's that? But yeah, Carrier always used the piston and didn't get fancy with it. So I assume that it didn't make a whole lot of difference, but I don't know why they are using the EXV on the outside. I don't know.
That is a good question.
Yeah. But I mean, from what I see for heating, it did a really good job. So, I mean, I can't complain yet, but like I said, it's probably going to come down to messing with the fan speeds.
You guys ever have to troubleshoot the inverter system on that? Like what actually controls the motor speed?
Believe it or not, it's fairly easy. It's got a force button.
Is that something you can only do with tech support, or is there manuals pretty in depth?
There's 2 buttons on there, and well, that's because I got that there. Good grief! Can't tell you what. She's gonna. There we go. That way, we won't have the echo. She's making it difficult for me. What the hell is that? Sound like Darth Vader going on. Yeah, it sounds like Darth Vader going on or something.
That's what wives do, Rick.
They do that, don't they?
Yeah.
Of course, when I get like that, I just want to start talking lower.
Oh, your wife's awesome. She's like...
Yours cool. Is?
No, your wife. It's cool. Oh, she's in the chat, mingling.
Oh. Yeah, cool, she's helping me out. Usually my boy's in here, but yeah, I ain't seen him pop up. Dead Pixel was... his there. He did video games and crap like that, and then he started doing DJ vlogs and some other stuff.
Dead Pixel sounds like a DJ name.
Yeah, like, that's kind of what it started out as.
Cool.
But I used to make fun of him because I was like, "What the hell was you up all night for?" Well, I was doing a live stream. What the hell are you doing a live stream all freaking night for?
Live streams are stupid.
No kidding, loser.
Yeah. So, it's real life friends.
Yeah, exactly.
These gamers are hardcore, bud.
Evidently, I mean, in this computer I'm on, it's a G7. It's a gaming computer, and
I've seen some of these gamer live streams. They'll have like 40,000 people watching them play a game. It's I never would have imagined that.
I mean, let's watch other people have fun.
You imagine having an HVAC live stream. You have 40,000 people watching you talk about furnaces and air conditioning and whatnot.
Have you ever thought about this? And I don't know if I do them possibly and make them private or what, but I thought about for making some videos for family members that have, a flame sensor issue or a condensate trap plug or something like that, and just
how to do it themselves.
Yeah, so you don't have to go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've thought about that because I had an uncle who I helped him diagnose his air conditioning issue over the phone. It was just a failed capacitor. Capacitor is all swollen. So I'm like, hey, that's probably your problem there. And he's like, I don't know how to change it. And so I thought about that. And instead of me making the video, I just went online and found like 100 different videos of people changing capacitors, and I sent them all to him. I even sent him specifically one of a woman doing it. And I said, if she can do it, you can do it. This is the part number you need. Go to Green.
Well, that wasn't sexist at all, was it?
Not at all.
Jeez.
Yeah, well, it happens.
I believe in stereotypes.
Yeah, well, in this day and age, I don't know if we can get too stereotyping about it. They'll be rioting up there in Michigan.
So, yeah, I believe in stereotypes. I mean, I don't know. Look at me. I am a stereotype for the most part. We all fall under some sort of stereotype.
It happens.
But let's not go down that road.
But Joe kind of breaks the mold there. He's not the typical Canadian, though.
No, he's kind of a dick sometimes.
Have we even verified that he truly is a Canadian yet? I mean, he could be lying. There's really no proof.
Yeah, your phone's crashing, Joe. You're not even moving anymore.
Look, see, we started talking about him, and it's already locking up.
Illuminati, bud. Illuminati. I was looking at a post. I want to share something with you guys. I was trying to sell something HV related on a site here in Canada, and I wanted to read something a guy said, And it was just so funny. What pretty much it was a home, like not a homeowner, but he came back to me looking for a deal, and he came back saying, "Oh, I'm a homeowner, blah 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 blah." And I came back saying, "Okay, then the price is firm. You shouldn't be doing it yourself. You should call somebody." And then he's like, "Oh no, it's a car. I need the vacuum pump for it. So it's not a vacuum pump." I'm like, "Oh, okay, then I'll lower it down $20."
Nice. Hoser brought up the guy here, and word of advice. He is interesting guy. He used to be an accountant, and he used to do appliance repair, and now he does HVAC. And he does everything pretty much at his house on his own equipment to show it off. But he has so many people pissed at him because he's constantly showing every little thing you can imagine.
That's like when the magicians come out and show you how the tricks are done.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to see behind the curtains.
Exactly. Of David Blaine and what's the other guy's name? They were awesome. I used to like him before I found out how they did him. David Blaine and the other guy,
Chris Angel.
Yeah.
I mean, and he kind of, I would be kind of scared to do what he does, because I mean, he was showing him how to do. God, what was it? It was something I felt as though I wouldn't really want the homeowner doing. It was either involving electrical or gas. I think it was gas, and they were pulling either the burners out or something. And I'm like, yeah, how to clean your burners? Ain't no way in hell I'd have them pull the burners out, and then what if they don't get them back in right?
Yeah, they're not realigning properly, and then blow their legs right off.
Blow their face off, and then they're going to sue you. Hey, no.
That's one of the good things about, for the most part, I do a lot of just commercial stuff, package units. So not a lot of homeowners have package units, of course. So, but even if they did, I operate under the assumption that if you don't know what you're doing in the first place, probably shouldn't be handling this stuff.
Yeah. And I've been just putting the disclaimer on there and everything because, like, the guy I go to church with, he's a magistrate, which is the same as a judge for the most part. And I'm like, dude, do I need to be worried about this? Because I really don't want to get sued. I'm not making enough money to pay for, a lawyer to do this crap. So he said, no, he thought it was highly unlikely, but, in the law world, shoot, anything's possible. So I just put a verbal and I put a thing on the description area, and so.
Plus, from what we hear up here is that down there they sue for everything.
Yeah, they do.
People don't like to work.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
No, they don't like to work, and then they like to complain when somebody steals the job that they used to have.
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy times, man.
It is. You got any? Oh, that's right, Joe. You probably don't have no rioting up there, do you? Because everybody's treated equal and everything's great.
No. Actually, in Toronto, they had 50. Did I say 15,000 turnout? But it was peaceful in Toronto. It was huge. It was.
Why would
Friday.
You guys have that though? I mean, you're not even our country, so why would they? You guys deal with the same crap?
It's just like in Europe, they're having a huge. It's just about justice, injustice, right? So I think everybody's just standing up right now and doing it.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's kind of wild because I mean,
no
guns.
Plus, we're your brothers. What are you talking about? Why are you treating us like we're stepchild?
Yeah, you're like our special brother.
If I ever get a passport, man, I'll come visit you.
Be better. Any of you guys, any of these guys in the community, guys, if you guys ever come across the border, let me know. For sure, we could link up and do something. Or
I got a passport.
I need to get one. I just got my license renewed today, and now they don't. Ohio went to some sort of special verification thing, so it's got to come out of Columbus. They don't even do it local now.
But I don't think Canada will let me in because I always got a sidearm on me.
A sidearm? Oh,
yeah. I don't think they like that.
No, you'll be on what's that show called? Border Authority or whatever.
Control. I'll just have to bring them. I'll just carry my machete instead.
Yeah, you see Bill there. Fuck, that'd be hilarious.
I'm like, no, I didn't bring my gun. I brought a machete this time.
That's illegal too.
That'll be much better. That's illegal too.
You can't have a machete.
Brass knuckles, everything.
We're not allowed to have brass knuckles.
What about a sharp stick?
Sharp stick. It's up in the air. You can say you're using it for vampires.
A license for a sharp stick. I'll bet.
Say you're planting some vegetables and you gotta poke holes in the ground. You'll be all right.
I remember
one. That's why.
Getting back to the grocery store refrigeration, Rick. I was sort of perusing the internet for refrigeration books, and I came across a book. I think it was just called like Industrial Refrigeration Handbook. Now, I don't have the book. I didn't really look much into it, but have you stumbled upon this book yet? I don't know if it really covers like grocery store stuff, or it's just like chillers and things of that nature.
I haven't really looked for any. I mean, the biggest thing for me was like, I knew what an oil separator did, and I knew the biggest thing was knowing the controls, and then
Depends what kind of defrost they used.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of them have hot gas. Most of ours have hot gas defrost, and then there's a few that have electric. But for the most part, after working on so many walk-ins and stuff, it's kind of the same thing, just bigger.
I feel like the most confusing part would be walking into that mechanical room and you're like, well, there's 20 compressors, nothing's labeled. Your display on your control board's not working. Like, how do you figure anything out?
Multiple racks, though. You have rack A, B, C, and sometimes D. The worst is trying to find a leak. Like, I had one, it was 150 pounds low.
Piping.
Oh, God, yeah. And it's in little I forget what they freaking call it. Basically, it's in the floor,
Trenches.
basically. Yeah, I had it in my mind and it went blank. But basically, they run it in like a little channel in the floor, pit. They call it a pit, basically. And
can you get down into the pit and like walk through it?
Well, it depends. Some you can crawl through. Some of them might be 10-inch, 8-inch diameter PVC pipe of some sort, things like that. So I mean, you get down there and start sniffing around, and and the biggest thing, he's like, well, you're not talking to like a couple ounce leak or a pound leak. We're talking 150 pounds. And it's like, okay, so I should be able to walk in there and just go berserk. Well, the leaks I did find were on the liquid dryer and on the holdback valve, or the head pressure control valve. And then when you get into like a headmaster on these big things, they don't have them built into one. They have it two different valves. So you got your
summer and your winter valves.
Well, that's split in your split condenser, where they send it to one or other, or a reheat, where they'll take the hot gas,
discharge,
run it into a water heater, or they may run it into a
Airstream
coil. For heating. So heat reclaim, basically.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then
it's a lot of heat to use.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's free heat because it runs almost nonstop. I mean, they're constantly kicking on and off, and they're controlling everything. They're maintaining a certain suction pressure usually, and a certain head pressure, and and they're cycling fans on and off outside electrically, and the open on rise and open on differential. That's a headmaster control, basically, because the ones you see on our little walk-ins are all built into one.
ORI, open on rise of inlet pressure.
Yep.
Oh, look at this guy.
Basically holds it back until it and then lets it come through, and then the differential one lets the other one balance in there when it's a little bit lower. So
yeah, that Dick Wurz, he's got a couple chapters that kind of go over that. Go over some of those valves.
There was a couple times REI valve saved me to a unit was ready to clonk out, just try to save the compressor. I was running high amps, whatever, just tilt down the REI valve, and it actually helped. It kept on the package unit running a little longer.
Yeah. Now, generally, you got to have a receiver on some of that stuff when you start adding it. But yeah.
Wait, Joe, you said there's an ORI valve on a package unit?
Yeah.
Did they add a receiver to it?
Yeah, they all have receivers for sure, because they have reheat, they have friggin' coaxials, everything. So
you got package units with receivers on them?
Yeah, it's like for dehumidification.
I've never seen a package unit with a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind is it?
Or an ORI.
You got Pool Pack, you got Desert Air, you got Dectron, all those.
Yeah, Dectron is that one goofy Canadian one that I work on.
Oh, dude, I don't even want to go with that. I try to stay away from it.
It's a nice unit, but it's a little complicated.
Yeah, it's and they screwed up a few things too. So, you go to a lot of them, and they're all a lot of things are bypassed, or stuff's added. You can't go in there; it's all tight. It's just chaos.
Yeah.
So.
But luckily, my tech support's here in the country, and he does pretty good.
Nice.
It's a geothermal makeup air unit. Has three or four compressors in it. It has a receiver. It's got the heat recovery wheel, and then It's got electronic expansion valve on it, and it's got one of those. I forget the module, but it's like, I don't know. It's just like way more just for a makeup air unit. It's like wow.
Too much, right?
Overly
Yeah,
complicated just to
Yeah.
bring in a little bit of outside fresh air.
pretty much.
Yeah.
That
I
was the
feel
one
the
that
same
had
way
a,
with like some economizers I stumble upon. They're like so ridiculously overcomplicated. I'm like, what are you going to use this for like 7 days out of the entire year? It's somewhat beneficial. And if it's in like a kitchen setting, it's
That's how I feel about high SEER units. We have them running for what 2-3 months. How much money are you going to save? Is it worth it? Then you got to fix something. Is it worth it to have that high SEER unit? To
yeah. I
me,
mean,
yeah,
no.
and look at the SEER rating too. It's only for cooling. I mean, you look at
that's
your
what I mean.
heating one.
Yeah,
It's like 9.5. What do you
right.
do? They're
Is it
low.
worth it?
Yeah. Of
No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not.
course, your temperature differential for heating versus cooling is immensely more. So I mean, that's I think a lot of it to do with it.
So when you're on call with this new avenue in your career, when you're on call, are you under like, is it even more stressful? Because like it's Friday night and I'm like, oh crap, I could get called out and have to put 1,000 pounds of refrigerant into a system.
It's a
Seems
little
like it'd be
bit. I
more
mean, the more I'm
stressful.
getting acquainted with it, it's not so bad. My biggest thing was like the grocery stores tend to call because, like I said, they're like 30 years old and they're about wore out. And
Hmm.
you don't know where everything was at, and you don't know, do I need to sign in? Do I need to talk to a manager first? Can I just go back and do it? Do I need to check in here? Can I do this? Can I do that? You just don't know. And my mind thinks like that really fast. And it's, the biggest thing is wanting to know all the answers that you didn't ask earlier. And asking somebody a lot of these questions when it's real late at night is not a good time to do it. So,
Yeah.
When do they tend to call you? Probably like afternoon shift change.
that shift change sometimes because I mean some of the stores are 24 hours, some of them are open till midnight. It just depends, and then even if they're not there, the alarm panel the refrigeration panel will notify the alarm panel, and then the alarm panel company will call the manager, and then he'll call us. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, refrigeration TV. He says he was the same also because that's why I've actually watched because there's him and Rookie and stuff. I mean, they were showing the stuff that I'm basically getting into. And it's like, because no one really went over a lot of things. So I'm starting to figure it out. Like they got stair steps, and it's like, that means go back, And it's like,
Yeah.
alarm. It's like, okay, well, there's 3 different ways to reset an alarm. I mean, you got one that erases the alarm. You got one that just resets. You got reset. I have the little email he gave me. He's like, because he finally gave me the password so that I can have full control. So if I wanted to go in there and wipe out a store, I could
Yes.
technically do it.
But those
And
passwords are useful for every unit. You need them, or else you can't get into the logic, and you're scrambling there.
yeah,
You can't set anything.
yep.
Are those passwords do those passwords stay the same per?
We all have our own. So if I go in there and screw something up, they'll know exactly who did it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think TV just posted something on Instagram. I wish it was always that easy. I think refrigeration TV. You could quote me if I'm wrong, but it was a block screen, and it's just instant fix. I wish everything was that easy. You clean out the
Well,
screen, replace the screen, and Bob's your uncle.
I had to take my computer in, and the network guy came in and put our commercial antivirus program on it. I had to get everything updated. So when I log in, I literally log into the computer at our workplace, and then from that one, it logs in directly to the grocery store.
Mm.
So basically, they got a secured connection with a certain port open just for that, so that people can't sneak in there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I never would have thought of. People hacking into like grocery store systems and just fudging everything up.
Well, that one big breach at I don't know, they stole a bunch of numbers, credit card numbers or whatever, was through the HVAC program. They came in through the
No
back
way.
door of that. That's how
Wow.
they did it.
Really,
These guys are good, man.
man, that is some cool hacker stuff right
It
there, man.
is.
The back door through the HVAC system, like, hey, look there's all the credit card numbers.
Yep, because we got one store we got to get converted over and everything. I mean, I go there and I'm going off this old DOS computer trying to get this old control thing to work, and we got the Johnson hooked up, but we're waiting on the IT guy to run some wires or do some opening up some ports and stuff, and now we're getting swamp ass busy, and now we really don't want them to do it. So, it makes it difficult for me because I've never seen this program before, this old antiquated one.
MS
So that
DOS.
sucks. It's like, hey, can you go make an adjustment? And it's like, I'm gonna go to the control because I can at least understand that, even though the display is faded and missing lines. But
See, I want
that's
to.
bad because you're getting asked a question and you're like, and you say what you think he's wanting and it's not, and you're like, you say the next thing and you're not listening to me, and it's like, so you're just like lockup mode. What do you want me to tell you, man? I don't know. I don't know.
That's
So
how I feel on fryers.
I hate fryers, man. The nasty things.
Different animal, but
Yeah. I had a guy asking me if we want. Well, I had to do one. Luckily it was all electric. That wasn't so bad. But
well, see, they got these fryers now that are literally so overly complicated. Everything's on solenoids and electric touchscreen panels, and you got communication wires. Like I went on one the other day that actually had its own internal communication network with a master, what do they call it, a manual interface board that communicated to the 3 fryer vats. And we were having communication issues. I'm like, communication issues? It's a fryer, dude. Like, why you got to make it so complicated? And we had to go through like the entire communication system, checking wires, making sure none of the communication lines were going against the, near the high voltage lines. And I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, it was one of those situations where I almost feel like I wouldn't be able to do anything without tech support. Because the service manual is decent, but I mean, some of the stuff they were telling me about troubleshooting the communication lines, none of that's in the service manual. I would never have known that. And unless you work on this specific brand
All
week
the time,
in, week out, all the time, you're not going to pick up these little tricks. So I'm like, damn, dude.
I was at one gas station we was working at, and she wanted me to work on their little conveyor pizza oven. And I'm like, I can fix anything. How fast I can fix it's the question. So I'm like, and getting the parts and everything else. And then what if it ain't the right part? Who's going to take it back? And all this other crap. And it's, I don't know.
There's days where I really wish we would just get away from hot side and focus only on refrigeration, so I can kind of slowly become somewhat of a master, specialized of refrigeration. Like Chris Stefanovich from HVACR videos, like he doesn't do hot side stuff. He dabbles in exhaust hoods and a few other things, but the majority of what he does is refrigeration, air conditioning system. So it's always fresh in his mind.
Is that really his last name?
No,
I think so. I'm pretty
I was
sure.
gonna say, I'm like thinking
he made up that name and it stuck with him, and it's hilarious. And there's I think there's a backstory to it, but I could be wrong. But
Chris, if you're listening, tell me I'm wrong. If you don't tell me I'm wrong, then I must be right.
The Frosty Ice Princess or something. I thought that one was
well, that could be it too, I think. But
Unicorn Princess, that's his password.
Okay.
That's the password.
That's how I hacked into his live stream the one day.
The one behind it.
I took it over. And I told all of his viewers that if you ever need a TXV and you don't have one, you just crimp down a piece of copper and braze it in there and make a fixed orifice on the fly.
Though, on what I was finding out on this one industrial chiller, whatever, it literally had like a ball valve, and that's how you throttle.
Chris is watching.
Oh, it's a manual valve.
Yeah.
Wow.
And literally close it down.
Do you have to do that every season, or like how does that work? Like,
I have no idea. He was telling me about it, and I'm like,
yeah.
I literally was like done for the day. And I said, dude, do you care if I come hang out with you and kind of see what's going on over there? And he's like, no, I don't care. And so I went over there. I'm like, can you show me around here a little bit? And he was showing me around and stuff. So, because this food processing plant, I usually get at least one call, and I surprisingly haven't got nothing this week yet. So it'll probably hit here in a little bit. But
see, I'd love to do a tour of a
what kind of
like that. Or
do you know what kind of cooling towers it had?
This one here, I mean, it's got multiple buildings. I didn't go up on the roof, so it's outside. Roof? Yeah. This one here is actually on the ground, so they're air coils on that one there. Now some of the other ones, they have water towers,
spray jets.
Yeah. Like this one, like I said, the mashed potato factory was originally owned by my boss and his brother-in-law. Then they sold to a very, very large conglomerate that everyone knows about that has a really good breakfast.
The big potato company.
Yeah. So we still take care of it. That's one of the biggest ones out there that I could get a chance to possibly work on that I'll have absolutely no clue about anything. So
I want
I'm
to take a
looking
day
forward
off
to
one
that.
day and find somebody who can give me a tour of one of these food processing plants or even a grocery store, like a big grocery store with a lot of cool stuff in the mechanical room.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do.
Once I get a little bit better, I'll share some of that stuff as soon as I know it's okay and stuff like that. I don't want to get in trouble, ruin it right before I even get started. So
I'd make a video. I'd just walk around telling people what I don't know. I'd be like, I don't know what that thing does. I don't know what that does. I have no idea what this thing's
yeah,
doing.
until somebody logs in and be like, how many hours did you charge me for? No,
Mhm.
no.
All
So,
of them.
Yeah, every one of them, and even a little bit extra too.
Hmm.
No,
Yeah.
if I think I took too long, I adjust it. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done that too. I've done it too.
Yep,
How do
because
you
I mean
feel
they know how
about?
long it takes. I mean, when I was going through some of the paperwork when I was in charge of stuff like that, I'd be like, well, I can do it in 2 hours, so maybe we shouldn't charge them for this, and
Yeah.
just
So this is a good question here. How do you feel about like reading, I don't know, service manuals, materials related to whatever piece of equipment you're working on the job?
it's their equipment. I don't see a humongous thing about it, especially if it's not something we sold them.
But if you're
So
taking time, like, do you charge the customer for that time? Like, if you're going through the manual trying to figure something out?
I feel as though. So yeah,
I feel the same way. I'm just curious,
yep, that's the way I look at it. 'Cause,
especially with fryers nowadays. I keep going back to fryers because I hate them. But in fryers, I do this all the time. I'm just standing there looking at my phone. Yeah, I got the service manual pulled up, and I'm just looking at it, and the customer's kind of like,
I tell them.
what are you
I tell
doing
them what
there?
I'm doing. Hey, just so you know, I'm not playing on my phone. This is where my manual's
Yeah.
literally at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell them too. But I always feel like they're judging me. Like, shouldn't you just know what this is?
Yeah.
And I always want to explain to them, like, hey, there's probably 100 different manufacturers of fryers. Each manufacturer's got 300 different models. You factor that in with all the other stuff we work on. There's no way I can know all this stuff. So
No.
I have my little tricorder phone here to give me all the information I need.
That's true. Okay.
Oh, 40 drive-in
Wow.
freezers.
What's up,
Good
Hamilton?
Lord.
That would have been interesting to see.
That would have been pretty cool to see.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
like the one I was working on earlier in the week. Because that was one of the things I said. I said, I need to get on this stuff during the day. I don't want to be doing this stuff at midnight.
Oh, I know.
So, they've been making a good attempt to send me back to the stores. So it's working out. I mean, you can only do so much, and they're going to put the fastest person on it right now because we're swamped. But they are making an effort to get me in the stores and stuff. So I was doing some leak searching on one. I went back and did a repair on an evaporator on another. I mean, this evaporator is probably 8 foot, 10 foot long. It was about 3.5 foot high, maybe 4 foot, something like that. It was big. And
I missed the part. What is this in? Is it
an
a grocery
evaporator.
store?
It was a warehouse.
Oh,
So I
okay.
mean, this thing is
Big old
literally
drive-in cooler or
25
something.
foot up in the air, 30 foot in the air. I'm on a scissors lift, and they're running all these little pallets around. And I found a leak on the end loops, and I'm thinking, is this really where my refrigerant went? So this is an R22 system, and we're wanting to convert it to 407C, like we did on the other one. And that one there, the compressor ended up going out. So I got to see firsthand a oil filter screen so badly plugged that it crushed it and sucked it in.
Wow.
Yeah, the little screen's about this long and about about as big around as your pointer finger,
It
and it
crushed it
literally
and
like
sucked it
shrunk
in.
it. It sucked it in, and it kind of did this wiggle thing because it literally.
Wow. A lot of
And-
pressure, I guess. Huh?
Well, the suction on it because it was trying to pull the oil out, and
Yeah.
the oil differential was only like 9 area, and usually they shoot for around 40ish. Which that was one of the questions I had to ask. Is like, I was double verifying. I'm like, you want me to check it here, right? And he's like, you don't know how to do that. I'm like, well, kind of haven't really had a reason to do it. So I said, you ain't gonna have to tell me 5 times. It's
That
just one
tech
of the
support you're
things.
talking to?
No, I'm one of the guys I work with.
Oh,
The
okay.
master.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys going to replace the evap or are you just going to fix it?
On this one here, we just fixed it, and there's probably more leaks.
That's
This
what I
is
mean.
an old unit. They bought it used, and it was old. And the money of some of these things is outrageous. I mean, I don't even have a clue.
$60,000?
Yeah, very easily. I would suspect. I don't know because I mean
Yeah.
some of that stuff it's just freaking expensive.
But
But this was
but what they spend on that bill, what do you think? At least maybe 10 to 20 with R22 if you had to put it back in $20,000 bill?
Yeah, if you're gassing and
it
going
only
like every
held I
couple
think
of months,
170 pounds or something like that. This one here,
Oh,
originally
only
200
170.
pounds,
yeah,
Okay.
that's not bad.
and we're only selling. We were at 50. Now we're back to $44 a pound. So I mean, we don't.
Jeez,
Yeah, we're very reasonable.
it's only
Gotcha.
6, 7 jugs of 22.
Yeah.
Or the big one. I don't know how much pounds
Yeah,
they are.
And changing oil in this thing's so simple. I mean, I went to Harbor Freight and bought me some cool sockets for starting at 1 inch up to I think almost 2 inch, so I could take off the big bolts and yank that stuff out and just dump the oil and put the new in. It's so much simpler. The thing I've
Mm,
noticed with the big stuff is it's so much more forgiving. You don't pull vacuums on everything. You don't run nitrogen on everything.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
agree.
just about the time you do,
yeah,
you contaminate the system. I mean, you do your best to bleed through stuff like that, but
yeah. When we had Nathan Orr on, he was kind of saying that too. The one of the biggest misconceptions about the big boy stuff is some of those best practices kind of go out the window.
yeah,
So
you're
you
going to
can't pull
screw
a vacuum
yourself if
on
you try
stuff
doing
'cause,
that.
I mean, everything's basically leaking. So you pull a vacuum on it, you're just going to suck in more garbage.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yep, it's true. Because I mean, like on one of my videos, and I think I don't know if I cut it out or I think I might have mentioned it, but I didn't go into a lot into it. It was just a split system, split walk-in freezer. But when I did my test, I don't think I didn't valve it off, or I did valve it off and it didn't hold. The nitrogen snuck into my compressor and
Mm,
contaminated my refrigerant.
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
So now my sub cooling was like 30, high 30s, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And finally, I'm like, oh, I know what
So does
happened.
that mean you had non-condensables in your condenser?
Pretty much, yeah.
Interesting.
I ended up. I mean, and you know the old saying, supposedly you can recover it and then let it set for a little bit, and you can bleed the vapor off and then get it out. But this one here, I think we ended up converting it or something. It's just
You're just
easier.
pulling the whole charge right out of it.
Yeah, and
You
it
know,
only held 10 pounds,
Hmm.
15 pounds, something like that.
when you guys say about throwing some methods away for big units, this is why my argument about leak stop and die comes to part, because it's a little different from residential. You wouldn't put that stuff really in residential. It's really not as complex as these big units. But I'm sorry, when you deal with some huge units with so many different things, sometimes it's worth it. You just got to put a leak. It's an R22 system in there. I just dump a leak stop. It's just, sometimes the customer wants it. So in the future, we could spot it quicker, so we don't have to kill all this R22. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
I have not
I,
had any luck with it. I've tried 3 or 4 different kinds, and none of them seem to work.
they don't work, but at least you have the dye in there.
Yeah, the dye. I mean, I've always usually been able to find it though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the dye thing, but
Yeah.
I mean,
nobody here at my shop uses it.
I used leak stop once, didn't work, and I
No.
really done anything with dies.
Yeah. But I don't know. Some of these, it just has no choice, man. Yeah, just it's people don't like it, but sometimes even the customer wants it. They just don't want to go through this huge bill again, and they'd rather have a little precursor to fucking a huge mess again. So put the dye in, somebody monitor it. I don't know.
Hey
Yeah,
Rick,
and
who's
and, and
the
quite a few of them have approved it now. I mean,
Yeah.
Copeland's done a few of them. Rigid's one of the few that got approved. I don't know if it's changed much, but
hey
I
Rick,
don't know.
who's your dispatcher?
What's that?
Who's your dispatcher?
That's my wife there. She
Oh,
thought it'd
okay.
be kind of cool to call herself that.
I said,
Yeah,
I
she
can't
had to
see
log
that.
into that one there because I had her as the moderator or what have you.
Hello, chat. Can't see you, but hello. Hope you're not calling me names.
Oh,
no, I
you
got
can't see
you.
the chat?
No, I'm on my phone. I'm just so I
Oh,
don't have the chat open.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We've been lingering pretty decent around the mid 50s area. Not bad for an amateur.
Cool. No, yeah, we're good. It's been good talk. So for earlier, and then I had to step on. Now again, it's been pretty good talk. I like it.
My biggest thing is I just need somebody to bounce things off of. I mean, I had nothing prepared, but I can talk about anything. So I can easily fill the time. It's just I need a subject matter and I need
Yeah.
to put some more effort into it, but I just don't have time to do it right now. And I like engaging with the people. So
Same with us.
yeah,
I think us four. Yeah.
yep. Yeah, I think it works out well. I like it.
Yeah. We're here to save you.
starting my HVAC job on the week after. Pretty excited. Videos come. Yeah, I've got some. I've got gosh, I think I've probably like potentially 5 videos, 6 videos. None of them are done. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of chopping to make them into something. I mean,
Yeah,
I was gonna do a video on making videos so that they kind of had a clue what all it goes into it, because the more you record, the more crap you got to chop out to shorten it. Because
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I shoot for 11 minutes, but sometimes it goes longer, sometimes it don't. I don't
Yeah.
know. It just depends.
Yeah, I try to keep mine 15, max 20 if it needs to be. But I don't know, lately I've sort of been falling off the YouTube train. I don't know if it's a
And I have been
combination
a
of
little bit
like
too.
not
And
much
I've
to
kind of,
film lately.
I
no,
think
there
it's
ain't.
life.
Yeah, life's getting in the way too, but
Life gets.
you
Yeah.
know, I'm starting as I'm
Between,
getting busier, I have to choose like if I come home, if I'm gonna sit down and go through comments and respond to comments for 2 or 3 hours, or make some memories with my family. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
family? I don't have any family left. They're all gone.
See, you got the perfect setup, man.
Yeah, I guess.
And
But
But
your
I'm
wife seems pretty supportive too, Rick. So
well, she does like her band stuff. So I mean, I go to her concerts, and even though I run sound at church, I'll be there probably tomorrow, even though she's got to be there at 8. Even though I'm not running sound this month, I still will probably be there, and we'll be there all day because now we're doing 2 services. So, and then she does the local band stuff, which is kind of like an orchestra, but it's just when it's a band, not an orchestra. That means you don't have strings. So
gotcha.
she does that kind of stuff, and she's pretty big into the her flutes are her big thing.
I was
That's
just gonna say, I believe you said flute. Then I remembered her name, Chronic Flu. I'm like, yeah, flute. Okay,
yeah, and
she
then
played.
I made a video of us getting the spinal cord stimulator installed down at Ohio State University. So
oh,
I
that
thought
sounds
about showing
awful. I want
that.
to watch that.
Yep.
It's cringeworthy right there, man.
It's kind of interesting. You can see the scar now. It's kind of starting to
Mm.
grow together and stuff. It's kind of interesting. Basically, this little device about the size of gum or what have you. It's about that thickness and maybe about that tall from here down.
No,
They
I've had a few back things going on, and when I just hear about it, it just makes me shiver.
Yeah, I mean it's working pretty good. Obviously it doesn't fix everything, but I mean I've thought about showing that video. I'm just curious to see what will and won't work, because every time I think something isn't going to work, it does better than what I anticipate. So it's hard to say.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
You don't hardly do any videos, Joe. Why not?
I just put one up. Okay, so don't kill me.
Did you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
After what has it been, like
I'm
9
horrible
months?
about not,
Yeah,
I'm subscribed. Let me go through my ringy ding here.
I just put one up, and people seem to like it. I did an install on a 16 SEER ICP on a house, and I just did the whole rundown.
How
I
long ago
tried.
did you do that?
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
2 days,
2 days
3
ago.
days ago. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got a video that's loaded up, ready to go, just about that defrost, the little training display thing that I made.
Oh yeah.
I just sort of made a video, just kind of explaining it. In the video, I said this is just my 2 cents on defrost circuits. There's probably 100 different videos out there explaining commercial defrost.
What kind was it?
What do you mean?
Which defrost control was it?
The DTAV40, the Grassland dual voltage defrost clock.
Nice.
It's my
And I ended
favorite.
up just installing one of those. One of my videos actually has that. And the previous clock was the traditional looking clock.
Oh
And
yeah, the 8145, I think it is.
yeah, but the thing that was weird about this one is everything was like opposites. You know how normally like your 1 and 2 is your common lead that feeds the terminals going out on 3 and 4. Well, this one was like reversed. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna visualize this in my head. And I started doing it. And then they had like the fans separate on some circuit. And it's like, why would they do that? That's such a lightweight circuit. Why did we need to put it on a separate one? So I started doing it all in my head. And then by the time I got done, things didn't work right, which you'll find out in the video. I found another thing that was wrong. And it's like, okay, do I show this? Because really the clock wasn't necessarily bad, but we changed it anyway. And it's like, okay, how condemned am I going to get for that? So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you're gonna get the YouTube police after you.
yeah, pretty much.
You didn't need to change that. You're just ripping people off.
I'm a
You
dirty
should
dog,
stop.
man.
I hope you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how they are.
Imagine if you listen to some of the tech support, Bill, tell you to change everything.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Under warranty, go for it.
There's
Yeah.
I don't know if I released this. I don't think I released that video yet, where I was dealing with the manufacturer of a walk-in cooler box, and they sent me out there to try to help them solve a defrost issue that they're having. You know, the telltale signs of a unit's in defrost too long. It's got the little droplets on the ceiling,
Yep.
you know, all over the place. And this particular donut store has been dealing with it for months and months and months. And I go there and I'm like, all right, you know, manufacturer, what do you want me to do? I test everything. I can't find anything broken in the entire system. It's only 9 months old, you know, this box, brand new build. And I found a couple, you know, poor install things. Like they ran the line set up through the roof, but they, instead of cutting the foam, the insulation on the line set and then sealing it, they just ran the insulation and everything right through it and then sealed around the insulation all the way up through the roof. So eventually that insulation is going to break down up on the roof. Moisture is going to come through, yada, yada, yada. But that wasn't the problem.
Location of the sensor, right?
No, there's no, yeah, kind of. I think it's a design issue because on this Norlake evaporator coil and the defrost termination fan delay switch is surface mounted on a piece of sheet metal that's away from the evaporator coil, like 2-3 inches in front of the evaporator coil, you know. And they had me change that 2 or 3 times, and I kept telling them, like, it's not broken. There's nothing wrong with it. I got all these temperature probes set up around it in the evaporator, next to the evaporator. You know, they had me change the defrost clock, I think once or twice. And after a while, they're like arguing with me about things. I think the tech support guy even said that, what did he tell me? You'd get a kick out of this, Rick. I was telling him that the defrost termination switch is what tells the defrost clock to come out of defrost early, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's do something. I'm going to set these defrosts for 15 minutes each, 4 times a day. And I'm going to come back in a week and see if this problem is resolved. And I came back in a week and it was. And I said, it's because your defrost termination switch is in the wrong spot. It's not sensing evaporator temperature, and your heaters are surface mounted all the way to the back. And he said, no, that's not it. There's a solenoid inside the defrost clock that kicks it out early. I'm like, no, there's sort of a solenoid in there, but the termination switch is what tells the defrost clock to come out early. And he's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, yeah, that is literally how it works. Like, I don't. So eventually I'm just like, what do you want me to change? Send me some parts, you know, because they just wouldn't listen to me. And I said, how about we get a defrost termination switch that you can mount on the return bends of the evaporator coil, because as I'm going through this defrost, I'm checking the surface temperature of that defrost termination switch. And I'm talking, I've been in defrost for almost 40 minutes. Air temperature behind the evaporator coil is 120 degrees. The surface temperature next to this defrost termination switch is 35 degrees still. Temperature at the return bends, 60, 80, 90 degrees. I'm like, dude, it's a design issue. And he's like, well, we got thousands of these coils out there. Why don't they all have a problem? Like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, man. It's just what I'm telling you. Yeah, I had my laser pointer, my temperature probes. I had all sorts of probes set up all over this thing. But it's kind of a cool video, but also kind of boring because it's just about defrost. But it's
you might be able to use a low pressure switch. You figure when that coil gets up to a certain temperature, it'll be a certain pressure, and then it could terminate off of that.
Yeah,
Cycle off of low pressure. I agree on that. Yeah.
I've heard of them. I haven't seen one, but I've heard of them. I mean, I've used them for temperature controls. Like,
well, you know, after they shot down my idea of putting one of those defrost termination switch on the return bends, they shot that down. I'm like, well, how about you get an aftermarket probe, jam it in the evaporator, and we'll just run the defrost through that. They're like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you then, man. He's like, we'll send you another defrost termination switch. I'm like, yeah, but this one's not broken, dude. Like, I think I changed it 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
Can you just unscrew it and move it a little closer?
Well, there's not enough room to do that. I did. I didn't get this on film though, but what I did do is I did unscrew it and then zip tied it to the return bends. Mm-hmm. A little bit better result. You know, it clicked out a little bit sooner than it should have.
Guys, Shannon's gonna do an all day a video. Okay, he's gonna start it off. He's doing the whole day life of an HVAC guy. Okay,
All day from like
all
wake up
day. Yep.
to bedtime, huh?
I've thought about doing that, like starting it off with the alarm clock going off, and then, just little tidbits.
Weaver.
Yeah.
And then like you come home and you have to drink all your sorrows away and pass out on the floor.
Everybody hates me. Only people who like me
So
are my
stressed
YouTube
out.
fans.
It's so hot on the roof. I can't get no help.
Uh-huh.
Can't hire any smart technicians. Yeah. That's
That'd
going
be
to take
kind of interesting. I kind of had that on one of my videos once, but I took it down.
all of you getting drunk and passing out on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. No, it was
People don't know.
That was my one on how I got in the field, but
Yeah.
it's controversial, so it's gone.
Oh yeah, you don't want to do that now.
No. What's funny is they could be watching me right now. That's what's kind of weird. You just don't know who's watching you.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah, you really
No
got to.
idea.
I've sort of learned from talking to you, Rick, and a few other guys to learn to mind what you say, or at least keep in the back of your mind that some of your coworkers may be watching, because especially on Facebook, I'm friends with all of my coworkers on Facebook, and so at some point they're exposed to the links to these live streams, the videos, and everything. So
Yeah.
try to stay pretty mindful of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's generally what I'm doing in my videos when I'm editing them, because I will go into, I'll rattle on, and it's like, okay, does that add to it, or is this possibly
Because it's just a rant.
Yeah, it's either rant or it's just it's going to be taken wrong, and it's going to be like you're either complaining because you'll get ate up for that, or you could be saying something that could be not complimentary to the person that you're working on their stuff on. So yeah, because you never know. May for one day say, I had that problem. I wonder if there's anything on that online. What the hell? That's mine.
I wear sunglasses so nobody can recognize me.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever know who I was. This beard's not even real. It's fake. I take it off when I go to work and put it back on.
Will a pressure defrost termination work on a pump down system? No refrigerant in the coil, no saturation temp. I would say probably not.
No saturation, pressure relationship.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I'd say probably not. You're better off getting something that's going to actually sense evaporator temperature, like a probe or something hooking out of the return bends.
Because I have a video on adjusting one that's purely controlled by pressure for temperature. And that's always an interesting adventure, because usually those get out of whack and everything goes to heck real quick.
It's been a while since I had a cooler or anything. It was just controlled by pressure instead of a thermostat. Wendy's was somewhat synonymous with that sort of setup.
Wouldn't mind it if I could have a digital one. That way I could actually say, I want it to do this and I want it to do that, but they don't make
Yeah, they're all the old mechanical ones, and you got to just a hair, and then all of a sudden it moves like 10 degrees. Like, oh, damn it. Now I got to bump it again. It's like, oh, now it's turning off at 60 degrees or something. You're like, they're
and I had one where I when I first was able to start recording, I did one, and I just started using the GoPro, and they come in and start talking about my buddy that's in charge of the maintenance and stuff, and and it's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to leave this all out just in case.
Yeah,
it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, for the most part, when I edit, I try to tastefully leave my mistakes in there, but I don't go out of the way to show all my mistakes. But I'm not trying to make it out like I'm a super tech.
No, I'm not, and I've purposely done that to build credibility that I'm willing to show it.
Mm-hmm.
I love to show other people or big companies screw ups.
Oh, I love that too. Yeah.
Like, wow.
Like the newest one I had the other day. I just can't seem to get over this. I keep thinking of it. The two condenser fan motors that each had their own separate capacitors, and then somebody just put a much larger capacitor in there and then ran both motors to it.
Was that yours? I seen that on.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, man, that's nuts. I just, it's one of those things that you think you would have seen by now, but I've literally never seen that before. I was like,
well, Carrier has a capacitor that has a shared common, but two individual
Yes.
caps,
Ru-
and that I wonder if that's
Yes.
how they came up with that or something.
Like that would be okay, you know.
Or like I ran into this instance here where like the person didn't have the big enough capacitor. I said, well, dude, why didn't you take the 45 and put the because it was a split 45 by 5 capacitor.
Hmm.
I'm like, you could have got at least a 50 if you would have paralleled it up there. Oh, I didn't think about that. I'm like, yeah, it would have worked just fine, just like a turbo. So
Hmm.
yeah, but too small of a capacitor makes the amperage go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I got that on video, but and that's one of the things that sucks. Some of these calls I've got are potentially calls that would maybe get somebody else in trouble. So a lot
No.
of my videos keep getting screwed up from stuff like that. It's like perfect example of wanting to show this, but then it's like, okay, how long do I need to hold on to this before I can show it so that it's not obvious what happened? So,
Hmm.
because you're not going to make no
I haven't
friends
had
that way.
much interesting to film lately.
Yeah. Well, it's something screws every one of them up.
I
It's
mean,
like,
we're
oh, great.
starting to take on some new customers. So with the new customers, I don't, try to push my luck and record when nobody's looking. Yeah, I'll wait till they're a little more comfortable with me.
And usually, like for me on the residential, what works out well is I'll be like, hey, first I'll get rapport going and we'll get talking about stuff. And then I'll be like, hey, I help out with some of the training with some of the newer guys. And sometimes I do videos on that stuff. Would it be all right if I do that with yours? I said, I'll tell them I don't scan your house or anything like that. Everything will be right here at the unit. And usually every one of them said, yeah, I don't care. That's fine. And then okay, cool. So
Yeah.
commercial is a little more trickier. I mean, on like one of the places, he's already said okay, and I've had a couple of them say fine, no problem. So, but there's a few of them that's kind of like, yeah,
Yeah, I was working on an R290 system at a bar, and it was like one of the first few R290 systems I was working on, changed the filter dryer and whatnot. And I asked the bar owner, like, hey, you mind if I film this for training purposes? He's like, yeah, that's fine. And then so I'm filming it, I'm not talking much because everybody's talking in the background. And I just like, man, am I gonna try to voice over this? And I just ended up scrapping the whole thing because there are a bunch of old guys just drinking, complaining about politics and whatnot. I'm like,
Yeah.
God.
Well, I did my R290 at a veterinarian clinic. So in the background, constantly the dogs are barking.
Oh
Mm,
shit.
Bark, bark,
mm.
bark, 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 bark. It's like, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
No.
But the voiceover thing, I've watched quite a few different people do it on other type of videos, and I think what helped the best was go ahead and just talk to it like what you're thinking, because that's going to remind you when you go to do the voiceover, because you're going to cover that up anyway, and that might help you out a little
Hmm.
bit later. Because when you look at it later, it's like you've got to watch it so many times to fully know and anticipate what you're going to say before you get ready to do it, and making it fit. It's not easy. Definitely
Sure.
not easy. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours, 3 minutes, and this thing usually takes like 6 days to process after we get that far along. So probably should wrap it up. I appreciate you guys coming in.
Of course. Anytime, buddy. Thank you. Thanks,
Makes it
guys.
a lot
See you, chat.
easier. Cool. And I want to say thank you to all the viewers out there that's hung in there with us. They're kind of starting to dwindle off. It's kind of getting later too. It's 11:18 here on the east
Yeah,
side.
buddy, it's snack time for me.
I hear you. So, but before you guys bounce out of here, if you would, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up button for me. And that's about
I
it
did.
for tonight. So
All right. See ya.
I need to get your phone number, Joe. If you could, well, see,
No,
you
you-
don't want me to have it, obviously. You don't want it. I got yours, but I ain't got his. So
I got his. I'll send it to you.
there you go. Be like, hey, Canadian buddy. So
Mhm.
yeah, just send it to me. That way I've got it because I got Adam's and I got yours, so it make it a little easier. Because
It took me a while to get it from Joe, but
probably
he's,
like 7754.
he's one of the most paranoid
ADC.
Canadians you'll ever meet.
Okay, really?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting.
It's
So,
crazy. He's not watching
happens.
anymore, so it's all good.
all right, cool, man.
All right,
Well,
Rick.
be safe. Have a good night. And all
Hey,
my
you too,
viewers
man.
out there, thanks for coming in, people. And until next time, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
See you guys.
Toodles.